Hi students, this is Dr. Nisha Varshney with last chapter of your history, and the name of the chapter is Print Culture and the Modern World. Print culture, print means what? So let us talk about a day of your life where you see no print around you, no books, happy, no newspaper. Let's talk about no mobile, because that is also a form of print. You keep on reading your messages now, you keep on seeing something return on social media. So no computers, no mobile phones, no books, nothing. So how would be your life? Black and white, dry, no attraction. Everything would seem like, what is happening? There is no enjoyment, there is no attraction in life. So that time was there. Yes, what I have just discussed, the time was like that in human history. Mobile phones came up, or you can say internet or revolution came up in 20th century only, or you can say maximum 40 years revolution. And previously people were involved in reading novels, books, newspapers. But before that also there was nothing, when there was no print. Reason behind that, print was expensive material to be reached by only upper caste or rich people, and it was not in the hands of the poor people, and the aam janta. If they do not have access to books, they are not even literate also, as you know about the literacy issue. So and let me add here, India had 97% literacy in 16th century. I am repeating, India had 97% literacy in 16th century. You may be startled after hearing that, what I am saying. Go and fetch out the information. We were doing best. But some period of 200 years, which is called the colonized period, and the rule of British destroyed our education system in such a way that we all became illiterate. Within 200 years, our education level gone down. Apart from this, poverty came, and there was no access to buying to education first of all, and no availability of books. Indian texts were not given that priority. Sanskrit was eliminated from the schools, English was introduced, and gurukuls were destroyed, and new concept of convent education came up. So this way you can see sometime India had problem of literacy, correct, and we still see it today at some part of the country. However, I'm not going into the detail of that, but just think of a time when there is nothing to read, nothing to enjoy, nothing to see, there is no color, there is no painting, everything is dried. So here we are talking about introduction of print machines, and that print has brought lot of changes in human life, and how people delved into reading for hours and hours and hours. And interestingly, at that time, see, you just assume that you are in 19th century, not in 20th century, and you have one book in your hand which is written by someone who is last corner of the earth. You have not met him, but you are reading what has he written, and you are enjoying it. So there are so many factors. You are first of all increasing your knowledge in terms of from different point of view perspective, because that fellow is writing from his point of view, and his culture's background. So you are getting more variety. 1, 2, you are gaining knowledge. 3, if some scientist, doctor is writing, so they are writing to help people to improve their lives. So this way books and knowledge started flowing into the world. It was not there for some time, but gradually during 19th century an invent of printing machines helped this, that we are going to find out in this chapter. So shall we start? So there is one beautiful picture of bookmaking before the age of print from Akhlaq I Nasiri 1595, and this was the time when Mughals were ruling India, and there was place is called Kitab Khana, where book is being manufactured. Some are writing, some are making it beautiful, some are designing it, putting photos into this, some are binding it. Then after making that book, it is being produced to the king. Correct? So it was kind of a royal treatment to have a book. Correct? So you have to be royal to read something. But when print came to the society on cheaper rates, so it helped people to grow their knowledge. So let us start the first printed books of 19th century. So beautiful writing is called calligraphy, that you know, and style of writing, you know what is calligraphy. So before printing machines, everything was done with the hand. So beautiful writing is called calligraphy. If you are writing for the king, so you have to write it so beautiful that king would love you and will give you the, you know, reward for that. Correct? So China was the first country who started with printing books. Correct? And the printing books were basically printed for the students, those who are aspiring for civil services, means those who would like to join civil services jobs in China. For them, the particular books were printed, and they were called accordion books. Accordion books were folded, means if you open them, so there will be many fold, not like this book I have. Fine, I can do this, right? So this is not like that. The accordion book was a folded book. See, I am showing you here. So it had lot of folds. So if you open it like that, so 1 fold, 2 fold, 3 fold. So something is written here, something is written there. So this way accordion books were printed. The first country was from Asia. We should be happy about it, and that was in the period of before 768. Correct? Before 768, I mean 8th century. So it was being possible to print some books. And what was the method of printing that book? Main question. So that was called use of printing blocks. Use of printing blocks. You know, you have seen some ink is being placed on some pre-manufactured wooden blocks in some shape, size or letters. Then ink is placed. Then the book, on that book you can put that block. So this will give you the print. So you can look at this in figure 2. Correct? Now the neighboring country Japan started also using the same technique, because Buddhism was spreading at that time, and some Buddhist missionaries, those who are spreading the messages of Buddhas, would needed these books. So they started printing them a lot and started distributing it to the world during 8th century. So wood block printing method was started by China, adopted by Japan, and gradually it went to the world, which I will explain you within few moments. So here it is written Edo, EDO, now known as Tokyo, illustrated collection of painting depicted on elegant urban culture involving artists, courtesans and tea house gatherings. Libraries and bookstores were placed with hand printed material of various types. So Japan's capital, Tokyo, became popular hub of printing books in Asia. Correct? So first question, write down some information about first printing books in Asia. Write down information about some few printing books in Asia. Next we have print comes to Europe. Now the same technique is being adopted by Europe. Who came here? There was fellow called Marco Polo. He was an explorer. He would go to different place, would learn something new of that place, will take that knowledge, information to his country. Marco Polo was an explorer. In 1295, he came to Asia and stayed here for 16 years. For how long? 16 years he stayed here. He learned so much from Asia, lot of art and craft, including the technique of printing books. So he learned that technique of wooden block printing, and he took this knowledge, information to the Europe. There also the same technique was being followed, and people started printing their own books. But it did not last for long in Europe. In 15th century, there was a a person, and his father was a jeweler and he was also a jeweler, and his name was Gutenberg, right? When he was making some jewelry and he was using mold to make jewelry. See, if you see any piece of jewelry, there is some design. How is that design made? You go and search on Google, you will figure out. This is a long process. In that, so many molds are involved in that. So the same person thought, why can't I use these mold and put ink into that and put paper on that and just press it. So, and after pressing, so the print will come. So that was a different way. We were doing like this, and he thought of doing like this, Gutenberg. So wooden printing machine was in opposite way. So was thought by the Gutenberg, and he introduced first printing machine by innovating through his experience of being jeweler, right? And he used those molds of making jewelry as a letters. Then finally he was able to print it. So first printing machine came in Europe, and that was handmade printing machine, not run on the electricity or steam engine, is known as Gutenberg press. So next question, what was Gutenberg's press? Explain. Correct. And he printed Bible 180 copies in 3 years. 180 copies in 3 years. So gradually improvement started, and the printing took new way of printing books. New books with new subjects are coming up. So this way 200 million copies were flooded in the market of Europe. So 200 million copies on different subjects, by different writers, and people are now loving it. People are now want to read on this to gain their knowledge. So certain figures are given, and one of them is very interesting. A printer's workshop, 16th century, figure 8. You can see what all work is being going on. So now printing is new field of work. So print revolution and its impact. Now printing is in the market. So it has brought a revolution. What is revolution? A drastic change. So 3.1, a new reading public. Previously, the reading was in the hand of upper class. Now it has reached to the people because books have become comparatively cheaper, and literacy was now school and libraries are open for people to learn and read. This has helped to for many social groups to come and read and start reading the books, especially the women and children. For them, special books were printed by Grimm brothers, Grimm brothers. They made beautiful comic books with beautiful and large cartoons on it with high quality of paper. So this way, new reading public has started emerging. Now all are reading. Women are reading, children are reading, men are reading. There is no discrimination of poor and rich. All are reading, and people are enjoying it. So I know that time when we used to read 2-3 hours a novel and will finish at one go. Yes, there was a time in my life only. I had seen this time people reading within 2-3 hours a novel. They will finish it up. Today you cannot concentrate because you need to just swipe it out everything. So we learned to have more patience while reading, to see what is going to happen next, the climax of the book. This way, some places were started with the social groups and social meetings were called Tavern, Taverns, places where people gather to drink alcohol or to be served food and to meet friends and exchange newses. So there books were discussed, which book is new, which book has beautiful content to read on, and what this particular writer has introduced the new book. So this way new reading public emerged. Correct. Now there is a problem also. Something is happening good. So some problem will be there. So 3.2, if books are being printed, so all people will write their feelings, understanding. The way you see in social media, everybody is saying right, wrong, negative, positive. It is flooded. Okay. Same way, some people wrote something about Christianity, practices of Catholic Church negatively. that Catholic churches are doing this and that, and there was one person called Martin Luther. He wrote some 95 theses, 95 points or discussion or debates, and he distributed those prints to all the people. Once people read them, they got annoyed, and even he was very smart. He kept one copy to the church also, gave one copy to the church also. You also read what I have written for you. So there was a kind of a fear for print. Now these religious authorities starting, if people would got to know that some misappropriation is there with the funds in our churches or something or anything, so we will not be respected. So we should ask a king or the people, those who are ruling the country, to stop print. So he was not the one person. So Martin Luther was the person who did protest against Catholic, and after protest, new form of Christianity came into the picture called Protestant part of Christianity. So Christianity is divided into two, Catholicism and Protestant. How did Protestant emerge out of this? So it happened in 1517 by Martin Luther. He wrote 5 theses and started with the Protestant Reformation. Now write the next question, who was Martin Luther? Why did he protest? And how did he start Protestant Reformation? And previously you had to just go and read on new reading public. There is no question will asked. So local stories were enjoyed by the local people, and people started writing. So that was there. And in this section 3.2, that is very, very important. What were religious debates and fear of print? Why there was a fear of print? Next, print and dissent. Dissent means say on similar lines of Martin Luther, there was a person from Italy, his name was Manacchio. He also wrote something about the Bible. He was executed because he was a miller, he was a small person, correct? Same way, it kept on happening. So it has brought some question in the mind that we should allow all the people to write, and we should allow everything to be printed. So society did not understand, and today also we don't know if the person is writing whatever he is writing is actually correct or incorrect. How can we check that? Fine. So this made sometimes the situation was troublesome for the social authorities to take decisions, but it did not stop. It kept on and on till date. We see in newspaper so many things are negative, so many things are positive, correct? So I hope it is clear so far whatever I have taught you. The important question, Martin Luther, or what were religious debates and fear of print, correct? Very, very important question. Next, the reading mania. What is mania? Kind of a mental disorder, just going mad, reading day and night. Yes, people got mad. And interestingly, books are also available on very cheap rates. So they were called cheap rates, small books on cheap rates were called chap books. And now the vendor is coming and selling the books, this one, and telling you some story. And if you start taking interest in that story, and he would say, now buy the book. So this culture started. People started enjoying the books, reading the books. Even writers also started coming up. Many people started writing also. So the introduction part is talking about that, manic behavior of the people. And 4.1 is very interesting sentence you read. Tremble therefore, tyrants of the world. So that means now all the people will tremble, those who have exploited the world. We will end despotism. Despotism means rule of negative people. So everything will be now written and will be printed and will be distributed, what the king is doing, what the queen is doing, what the dictator is doing, what is happening in the military, what is happening in the church. So now everyone should start trembling that you should not take any wrong step, and you should not misguide people. You should not ditch your own people. You should work for your people if you are on the responsible seat. but practically we don't see that. So this way we see so much negativity of all the authorities, those who are ruling. So journalism is like that, they try to fetch out some negativity of the ruling person or the party or the group, just to aware other people what is happening. Same thing, and this statement is very interesting. Tremble therefore, tyrants of the world, was told by Louis Sebastien Mercier. Please write who told this statement and why. And you please write this statement in a question. Tremble therefore, tyrants of the world. Who told this statement and why? So that entire 4.1 would come here. Correct. So now we have one more example of French Revolution. If you recall, in class 9th, we had one paragraph on role of philosophers. Who were those philosophers? Can you recall? These were the educated middle class. They wrote about negative side of monarchy and positive side of democracy, and they actually told that to all the people of the society, we should get elimination from the monarchical concept, we should bring democracy the way we see in US. So role of philosopher, Voltaire, Rousseau, Montesquieu played an important role in bringing new information, and you would say light in the life of the people, in the mind, that they should move on, they should go for protest, they should change this system. So next question, write down the role of philosophers as a writer, or you can say as a providing information. Write down the role of philosophers in bringing French Revolution. Correct? And here you have to write the importance of print culture. Had they not printed those information, did not distribute those pamphlets to the public, had it been possible to bring French Revolution? No. That is why we have given one particular paragraph to French Revolution and the importance of writing and importance of printing in 4.2. Correct? So names are given of all the philosophers in this paragraph. Let us move to the 19th century. So this happened in 18th century. Now we are moving to the 19th century. So as I've discussed, many people are coming up. Here it is mentioned writers, special writers. Who are the special writers? Not appointed by the king. Women as a writer. Oh yeah, women are also started writing and people are reading their books. Yes, it was accepted during this time. Previously, first of all, women were not given education, and secondly, they were not considered as a good writer. They would be having some knowledge. What would they write? There were so many questions which were broken by the European women. So I just named few of them. Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice. That lady wrote beautifully about the discrimination of male and female or gender issues. Correct? And it was written very well. The novel I have read in my final years of graduation. It made me think that the same problem was existed at that time in Europe as well, which we see in India today. Okay, so she wrote about her own life. Next was George Eliot. George Eliot, name is male but she was female. She kept this name because she knew that if I would write my name, the book will not sell. To sell her book, her work, she changed her name and put it George Eliot, right? Next were Bronte sisters. They also wrote so much about European culture, problems of women. So this helped people to get to know, no, I am not only facing, other women is also facing, and there are so many women facing the same problem. We need to correct our social structure at some point. That is why we can bring right, a revolution, reform to go ahead, to improve and to bring, positivity in women's life. So those were the important women that I have just discussed. So please write down the next question. Write down the short note on women writers of Europe, because we are going to see women writers in India also. Write down the short note on women writers of Europe. So you have to name all of them, which I have just told you. Correct? Next we have further innovation. So Gutenberg's printing press has been improved by many other people. So one of them was M. Hoy from New York. He manufactured new cylindrical printing press in which the paper will be rolled down and two people will stand on the top, two people will stand on the bottom. The people will put some kind of a paper and the cylinder will roll that paper to get something printed which is already there, and then the new print will come out. The people, those who are standing at the bottom, will take out the print. So that new machine was introduced known as cylindrical press. So 1 marker question: who introduced cylindrical press, where was it introduced, and how did it function? Simple, not that difficult. Okay. And figure 13, look at this. Advertisement at a railway station in England. Lithograph by Alfred Concain. Printed advertisements, notices were plastered on the street. So beautiful prints are there everywhere. News, or you can say advertisement to sell their product on railway station, because people will pass on. Now you assume the way I have started the chapter, there is nothing, no print, no color, nothing is written. How would be your life? Now these posters, these advertisements keep on engaging. Once you move on the roads, you keep on reading what is happening. New shop has come up, new advertisement of this particular person he has put up. So it helps in, of course, understanding, knowing so many things happening around us. And this way people started enjoying reading, writing, and information traveled from one place to other place, and today it is just a click away. So that was a period when people enjoyed actually their lives. So I have ended this chapter. The half of this chapter is talking about Europe. Now let us move to the India. Correct? So India and the world of print. We cannot say that India did not know how to print. Yes, India, as I've told you, in 16th century we had 97% literacy. So how did people used to read? So there was a concept of manuscripts. Manuscripts are text written on leaves, especially the banyan leaves, which is big, okay, or banana trees which are big, and so something is written on them with the ink, and the pen is your you can say a twig of any tree which is hard in nature, easy to write, or more punk you can say, is used to write the text, and the leaves are preserved. Their hole is being done in the leaves to tag them, to bind them with the thread. Okay, so this way manuscript concept was there in India, and due to this colonialism it was destroyed. So new style of printing which we see today, how did it come, that we are going to learn here. So for 6.1, manuscript before the age of print. Some manuscripts have been shown here, you can go through that, read on, and different languages. The popular one was the Sanskrit, and it was read by not only elite class, not only Brahmin class, by all. That is why 97% literacy was there. 6.2, print comes to India. Now let us come to the 18th century. So in 18th century, here this is 17th century, Augusto Hickey brought printing machine in Goa, and he printed first newspaper called Bengal Gazette, and that the language was no doubt about Bengali. So in India, there was a new challenge to print in multiple languages, or you can say vernacular languages, to cater needs of all the people, because India is full of diverse culture with full of different languages in spoken as well as in written. Fine. So in 1780, James Augusto Hickey brought it and printed Bengal Gazette, a weekly magazine, and this paper got so much popularity that other social groups also started printing their own in their own language. But again, some problem is also seen here, some criticism, same way, why should we print in multiple language? And interestingly, when Ramayana and Mahabharata was printed in Hindi language, so many people read them. So there was some problem in a social group of Muslims that they think that if our people will read Mahabharata or Ramayana, so they may not change their religion. So that was a fear in their mind. So they issued fatwa, means order to all the Muslims not to read those books, only read text printed by the Muslim schools, okay, and their schools were called Deoband, right? So that was a fatwa issued to stop reading Indian, or you can say Hindu textbooks, particularly in Hindi. So Deoband Seminary founded and in 1867 this is a new school where only Muslim text would be printed and all would read that only, correct? So that was again kind of a religious debate in India. So previously we saw about against Christianity, but here the problem is not for the religion, it is all about to have a fear that people may convert into the different religion. So next question, please write down, how print came into India? How print came into India? You have to write entire 6.2. And what were the religious debates? What were religious debates related to print? Related to print in India. What were the religious debate related to print in India? Correct? See, India would be mentioned. This way you should not get confused if the question has similar, point to write. So there would be clarity. For that you can look at the NCERT back exercises question. You will have clear idea what kind of a language they will ask. Next, new forms of publication. Forms means to attract more people. So there would be more paintings on the cover page of the book. There would be a cover page, you must have seen, that is also called a dust cover, where you have a book and there is one more cover page just to attract the readers and to sell the product. And paintings, designs are made in different combinations. So handmade paintings were also printed to attract. See, here one is in figure 17, Raja Ritu Dhavaj rescuing Princess Madalsa from captivity of demons, print by Ravi Verma. This is a very, very popular print of Ravi Verma, and this was liked and fascinated Indians to read that book, because it somehow it is showing Indian culture. So once something is shown of your culture, you get attracted to it. So to cater need of that particular culture, so print was made in such a way that local books were printed for that particular area, correct? Next we have women also. Women also started writing, correct. In India also they started. So one of them was Rashundhari Devi, a young married girl in a very orthodox household, learned to read in the secrecy of her kitchen, and she wrote her autobiography Amor Jeevan, means my life. So first of all she read in kitchen how to read and write, then she wrote her book. Very, very encouraging, very motivating for all of us. And in 1876. Next we had Bengali woman Kailash Bashini Devi, and she has wrote so many books highlighting women problems in upper classes and in lower classes as well. From Maharashtra there was Tarabai Shinde and Pandita Ramabai, those who they particularly pointed out problems of women in upper caste. So they wrote about openly that don't think that upper caste people do not exploit their women and they are living happily. They are also facing similar problems the way poor women face, correct? So these books were eye-openers. Yes, these books were eye-openers for the social reformist to look at them, to understand their plight, what is happening inside the four walls with the women, correct? So this has brought a lot of revolution for the women writers and for the social reformist, and helped society to change a bit, correct? So please write next question. Explain the subjects on which Indian women writers printed. Name the books or the subjects on which Indian women writers printed, correct? So on which subject they were printed, so these were the subject. And interestingly, there was one fellow called Ram Chadha, and he said if women would start writing, so this will corrupt the society. So he said, I write one book for them which is known as Stri Dharam Vichar, means how should women behave. So women should be taught this book only. Women should be given this book to be obedient wives, daughters, sisters. Correct. So this is such a paradoxical situation of our society, that if women are moving ahead, we don't want them to move. We want them to move ahead in terms of their condition. So this fellow Ram Chadha wrote this book, and I think this is such a funny book. This had been such a funny book, because see, if you see downward on figure 20, an Indian couple, black and white woodcut, both are enjoying some hookah and all. So this way it has been shown, if women would emancipated, if they would be given literacy, so they may take place of the men. Somewhere something is there, so you can just read on, enjoy this paragraph, what is all about that. Women in print, only one question. Next, poor people also started writing, because they were also going through a lot. First of all was a casteism. So many people wrote on casteism, and one of them is very popular, Munshi Premchand. He, a Hindi writer, he has written a lot of books on casteism, and many people from different languages also pointed out these issues and showed real picture of Indian society, which was at that time, even somewhere today also, painful, which shows that we don't accept and behave properly with poor people, and we don't accept them as a human beings. We ill treat them like animals. So some of them were populars, and some of them Jyotiba Phule from Maharashtra, and he wrote about lower caste protest. And B.R. Ambedkar, he is one of the highly educated person in India, talked about issues of scheduled castes and tribes. E.V. Ramaswamy Naicker from Madras, and better known as Periyar, and you know the Periyar, very popular name, and there is a bird sanctuary of Periyar in Kerala, I suppose. So he also wrote on casteism. And one more, mill worker, a very poor person, he wrote about Chote aur Bade ka Sawal, and his name is Kashi Baba. So new names are there, and someone has also wrote about Sachi Kavitaएं, and these people belong to lower social group, and they are writing, and they are liked. That is why they are in our books. So they are liked, accepted by other people, that actually they have pointed out the real problem of Indian society. Correct. Next question, name some of the writers, those who belong to poor class. Correct. Apart from this, only you don't have to write their names, you have to write and explain the subjects on which they have written. Correct. So you have to mention subjects as well, on what subject they have written, their name as well as the subject. So this way we have done one more question. Let us move to the last question and topic, print and censorship. You know what is censorship? To stop printing. Why? Same, Britishers are ruling, now something is being returned against them in different languages of India. People are protesting, so they got feared that if people are protesting, so one day people will mobilize against them, they will ask them to leave, and that happened also. Correct. So that was the only fear which made Britishers to bring one law, which is called this Vernacular Press Act, that nothing will be printed in India without their permission. Nothing will be printed in India without their permission. So that was called Vernacular Press Act. So please write down the last question. What was Vernacular Press Act? And this law was made in Britain and was adopted from Irish, imposed in India. This way, but people did not stop printing. They kept on printing, and most of them were arrested, and one of them was Bal Gangadhar Tilak. He used to print one newspaper called Kesari, in which he used to openly he used to write against about the British. So he was imprisoned in 1908, provoking widespread protest in India after his arrest. So this was the scenario. of Vernacular Press Act. But today, after independence, we have right to express, so we can write, but please write which is relevant, which helps people, which motivates people. Do not write negatively because we think that will give me popularity, but don't you think that this may, you know, create some negativity in the lives of the people. So do not write anything negative, write positively. And if you want to write something, you know, you want to open some picture of someone in terms of that what is he doing, so please use right words. Use of right word is very important in writing. Do not demean someone in your writing and abuse someone, correct? So writing is most crucial and reading is also crucial. So go and have good readings and spend some time in reading good books that helps you in improving your knowledge to grow in your life. So the last question, I hope you must have done it. So I am finishing this chapter and request you to just go through the back exercise questions also. And if you have any doubt, I can meet you in doubt classes. Do take your chapter and test to check your progress. Thank you.